Go ahead.
All right, we'll wing it anyway.
What goes happens.
Meeker County. All right, if we could stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning. We'll start off if there's any public comment period today. I'm assuming not. We'll move on to the board meeting agenda.
No additions today, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the June 18th board meeting agenda.
Moved by Johnson,
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
second by Schmidt. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda. Andrew, you want to walk us?
We have a very brief consent agenda today, Mr. Chair. We have approval of the June 4th board meeting minutes, approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable, temporary on-sale liquor license for Darwin Rod and Gun Club, and a temporary on-sale liquor license for the American Legion. That is the consent agenda.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Move made by Steve,
I'll second that.
second by Julie. Any further discussion on it? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Agenda passes. Moving on. Representative Erdahl, legislative update.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here and have a little time to visit with you, and this will be the last time. So, being that it's the last time, I thought before I get into the update,
Does that mean it's not going to be brief?
longer than usual,
Just kidding. All right.
because I thought I should maybe review a little bit some things that have happened over the last 22 years. I won't take 22 years to do it, but
I think we're all in the unanimous decision on that one.
so I just want to, again, review a little bit and then talk about what happened this last session. They elected in office 2003, we faced a $2 billion deficit under Governor Plenty, and I was called in early in that process by County Administrator Paul Vernick. He wanted to discuss the proposed cuts in local government aid, which were part of the fix for the deficit. And I was a newbie, and he explained to me how important LGA was, and I did oppose the governor with his LGA cuts, mainly after my conversations with Paul Vernick. But they passed anyway, and we're part of the settlement of the deficit. I tried to meet the requests and needs of Meeker County cities, and I'll just give you a partial of what some of the highlights for these cities over the years have been. For Grove City, I did bills for water projects there. We secured funding for the CARE program when DHS tried to cut it, and we helped to keep the community homes open by getting more funding for them. Forest City had a water project that had a bill to do. Watkins got funding for a street project, and we most importantly, I think, changed the rate designation for the Hilltop Care Center, enabling them to stay open and to expand. Eden Valley, we authored legislation. Now, this is kind of one of my stranger bills. We authored legislation to make it more difficult for adult entertainment establishments to open in our rural towns.
Does that mean bingo?
No, this means this means the
No, I'm not. I don't.
Eden Valley.
Yeah, I remember it. I couldn't help it. It felt like a bingo moment there.
The interesting thing on that bill, basically they put in restrictions on how far from a church, how far from a school you could have these types of establishments. And I'll skip over all of the details until the last day, when in conference committee, I get up to give the conference committee report, final passage of the bill. And when I stood up on the House floor, the lights of the chamber dimmed. Somebody shined a spotlight down on me from the balcony, and members stuffed dollar bills in my pockets. Every now and then it gets a little,
Yeah.
but it passed. Cosmos got a new water tower.
Were those dollars documented then?
No, I just said, I'm keeping these.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Used it to balance the budget.
I did legislation for Cosmos resulting in a new water tower, new pipes under the streets, a new city hall community center, remodeling the old school to accommodate students with special needs. Dassel had road and street projects, and in the bonding bill, when I chaired, a new floor for a hockey rink allowing artificial ice to be installed. And now in Cedar Mills, I did have funding in the recent bonding bill for a new city hall, but that bonding bill didn't happen. Also, I had $10 million for Litchfield for pretreatment in that same bonding bill. It didn't happen. For Litchfield, about 10, 12 years ago, we expanded the wastewater treatment plant, which is still having ramifications today. I did $2 million to restore facades of downtown buildings, nearly $1 million to restore the Opera House, funding to restore the GAR Hall, and again, I had $10 million in the bonding bill for First District in Litchfield. Unfortunately, we ran out of time by 15 seconds. If they had been 15 seconds quicker in the Senate, Litchfield would have $10 million, and we wouldn't have the problems that they're having right now. I've worked on bonding bills over the last 10 years that funneled $8.5 billion, largely into Minnesota's infrastructure, much of it into greater Minnesota. I secured record amounts for water projects through PFA and also record amounts for local roads and bridges. And I worked closely with local officials in my district, particularly sheriffs. When Sheriff Cruz asked for help in reducing the cost of transporting out-of-state prisoners, I received funding for that. When Sheriff Hobble of Brenville County brought a case to my attention about a boy killed in part because his guardian didn't know that an order for protection had been removed, I got the law changed to require notification of guardians. This partial list review is for those who might have forgotten what has been done for Meeker County over the last 22 years. In the last biennium, we had a $17.5 billion surplus. The DFL trifecta spent it all and then raised another $10 billion in taxes and fees so that they could spend more. Our state budget went up nearly 40% to about $70 billion. They had an anti-business agenda, higher taxes, more fees, a burden placed upon them by paid family leave, a very liberal social agenda. Social studies standards were enacted that embrace critical race theory and ignore or distort our history. Well, that was in the first year. I hope for better in the second year, but it still wasn't very good. We did achieve some things, $30 million for EMS. We should have had $100 million more. In last year's bonding bill, we did include $300 million for nursing homes. Bills that did pass this last session that are notable. Uber Lyft bill, which enables it kept the ride service business going. Uber Lyft were threatening to leave Minnesota unless they got a raise in their minimum wage, and Minneapolis passed a raise, then the mayor vetoed it. We had passed a year ago a raise, the majority had passed it, and the governor vetoed it. So it was a very big issue at the end of session, taking 13 hours on the Saturday before session ended, and then passed. We had gun bills, a felony penalty for straw purchases, and including binary triggers, two other gun bills we did not pass, the reporting and the safe storage bills. 887 million payroll tax increase on employers and employees for the new paid family leave program. We did a ban on historic horse racing, and state employee compensation plans were passed. Some notable things that didn't pass: the ERA bill, the constitutional amendment, sports betting, general obligation bonding projects, and the cash bonding bill, which is the one that didn't make it those last 15 seconds. Tax relief for veterans also. The end of the session was just extremely chaotic for various reasons. And I'm not going to point fingers here too much. We can talk about the fact that the clock management and the part of the majority was very suspect, bringing these bills up when they did, when things could have been done much earlier. But from my caucus's standpoint, we wanted to very thoroughly discuss each of the bills. That led to the last 3 weeks going till midnight every day that we had session. And those were some long, tough days. Sometimes we even went beyond midnight. One time we went till 5 in the morning. That's not unusual for the very end of session, but we're doing this for 3 weeks is kind of unusual. When I say thoroughly processing, some people may call it filibuster, but I won't say that. But going 8 hours on one amendment and spending 2 hours talking about hamburgers, some people might think.
What's wrong with talking about hamburgers?
Oh, that's true.
I think I have a problem with that one, right?
So we had those things going on that were dragging things out. I told the caucus that eventually they were going to do what they wanted to do. They have the majority, they will do it. Whether we're trying to delay it or not. And we were trying to keep some bills off the table that we didn't want to see happen. And in the end, the last day that we could do bills on Sunday, they decided, that's it. No more of this talking. We're going to, they had, I think, 4 omnibus bills left to do. These are the spending bills, and they just put them all together into one 2,000+ page bill, plopped it on our desks. Well, not everybody, because we all didn't get a bill. A few got this big bill plopped on their desks at 11 o'clock, and it was all going, everything had to be done by midnight. And so at that point, we had an uproar on the House floor. And they had to recess to settle things down. Came back about 11:30, and this bill passed. They cut off debate. That's what the big problem is with, that their debate's done. There's no more complete discussion. We're calling the question, we're passing the bill. And they did. It's a bill that basically we hadn't seen before, and it had 4 large omnibus bills in it. Then the cash bonding bill came up that I'd been working on, that had the 10 million for Litchfield in it. And we passed it off the House floor, got it over to the Senate, and as I said, at midnight they had the 34 votes that they needed. But the president of the Senate didn't throw the switch and end it. He waited 15 seconds too long. And as a result, you can't pass anything after midnight, and it was done. So there are meetings going on. July 8th, there'll be a meeting between the city of Litchfield, 1st District, and the MPCA. The governor's office has been involved. We're still trying to do some things to straighten out the 1st District Litchfield situation. And hopefully we'll get some stopgap measures done this year, and then the next legislature can, I hope, provide some funding for them, more funding. So that's kind of the highlights or lowlights, or whatever you wanna call it. Do you have any questions or comments?
Any questions for Dean?
Very good.
All right.
No, and I would just, the comment, AMC gave us kind of a synopsis of the final hour or so of the session, and in their words, it was the worst they've ever seen. And so it was gonna be difficult to get anything accomplished. Kind of was a synopsis that came out of it.
Yeah, it was.
Would you agree, Paul? I mean, that was
Yeah.
pretty much the way that's the way I'd summarize it, I guess. It just,
They were frustrated,
yeah,
as everybody was, so.
It was very chaotic. Now, I would say it's not the first time that that's happened. I was, I don't know, 10 years or so, we had a similar ending where debate was cut off, and we had our members putting duct tape over their mouths and standing on their desktops. So weird things happen, especially at the end of the session. And it's what happened this time, I think, was the worst, but there have been similar things.
Well, I don't think we've done that at the county level yet.
We can't find the duct
There's
tape.
always some time, right?
We can't find the duct tape.
Yeah, that's true. So, anything else for Dean? Otherwise, thank you for the update.
All right, thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
We use duct tape to hold things together around here.
I mean, yeah,
Baling twine, duct tape.
Whatever works.
many times I should have used duct tape in my own. All right, Greg Schultz, Land Use Management.
Morning,
Morning, Greg.
Schultz Land Use Director. I got 3 items today for the agenda. First one is a rezoning application. This is for a 6.1 acre property, parcel 14012700. Address is 26414 County State Aid 1, Litchfield, Minnesota. This property here was part of the extraterritorial area for years until 2020 when we took it over. So the city of Litchfield in 2017 issued a conditional use permit for one cold storage building, and then in 2018 issued another conditional use permit for another cold storage rental facility. Since we've taken it over, our ordinance only allows 5,000 square feet of cold storage. Currently, they already have 11,904 square feet of cold storage, so since we've taken over, it's in our zoning district now, he wants to expand on it even more. He has 6 acres, he's got plenty of space, so with that, he's gonna be rezoning to C1 to allow that expansion without any future CUPs to go with the through the county, or a variance to be above that 5,000. That's reasoning for that, so.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a rezoning application to change parcel 14-0127,000 from A1 Agriculture Preservation District to C1 Commercial District.
All right, move made by Julie, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Second by Beth. Any questions?
Sounded like the 2 Gregs that viewed it were good on it, huh?
Yeah, no, there's plenty of acreage there, 6 acres. It's in between the railroad tracks and Hughes Creek,
Okay.
so it wouldn't be available for residential anyhow in that area, so.
I feel like they can't get enough cold storage around. People are always looking, so.
There's a ton of it going up too.
It's a good
Get
project.
cold all the time, options
Yeah.
for cold storage.
All right, we have any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Alright,
Motion carries. Next one, Rick.
Next one we have is a rezoning application preliminary plat of Wendell Junction for property located in the north half of the northwest quarter of southeast quarter, section 28, township 119, range 29 of Dassel Township. This is
What
parcel-
did you just say? No, just kidding. Not gonna make you re-say all that.
435021.
I'm real, I
So
don't know what
this,
my problem is.
so they're gonna rezone this property, it's A1. There used to be a farm site, It split off part of it, I mean, way back when, I don't know, the fifties, forties, fifties, there was a house on this property. In the sixties, taken off. Since that time, they split off part of the property, so with that, it lost its building.
History Center?
So now the property owner is going to rezone, approximately 2.57 acres to R2 to allow building eligibility to be put back on the original farm site. If you go to the next picture, there's an old barn on there and a shed. That's there existing. There's two entrances off of County State 815 already on the property that have been since the 50s.
15. So it's off 15. Oh,
Title
county
policy opinion had been
'cause it's off at
submitted and
12,
reviewed by
just
County
past the
Attorney's
school.
Representative Emily Woods. She found no issues with it and found it satisfactory, so. Haven't heard anything from MinDOT that we have no issues. So this property rezoned to R2 and it'll be platted as one lot plat of Wendell Junction.
All right, looking for a motion.
It's a long one, Beth, it's your turn.
Okay, I knew you'd do that, hold on. You have it in front of you, Paul, why are you setting me up for failure? I'll get it. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve application 16393 to change parcel 0704350001 from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to R2 Rural Residential District to allow for the development of a one-lot plat in Section 28, Township 119, Range 29 in Dassel Township. And
Can we do them both as
I was
one,
gonna
Andrew?
say, should I keep right on
You
going?
can do them as omnibus, yeah. Yes.
Keep going, okay.
I'm going.
And I'll move to approve the preliminary plat application 16394 for a one-lot plat of Wendell Junction located in the north half of the northwest quarter of southeast quarter of Section 28, Township 119, Range 29 in Dassel Township.
Thank you for saving me, Steve. My knight in shining armor.
Successful filibuster by Beth. Moved by Schmidt, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Julie. Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Greg.
Last one I have is a conditional use permit for a landscaping project on Clear Lake. This is for Krippner's. It's for Larry and Helen Krippner, property in Clear Lake, as you can see there. It's lot 30 and half of lot 31 of Gemma Shores. House built in 1979 with a porch built on it in 79. Their intentions are to add two rock walls 90 feet in length to create a slope terrace towards the lake. Riprap along the shoreline is already existing. Impervious for the site after project will be about 16.5%. They're gonna be using about 94 cubic yards of total materials for the project.
Okay. Looking for a motion on this one.
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair, I get this one. Move to approve the application for conditional use permit number 16397 to move more than 10 cubic yards of material within the shore impact zone and 50 cubic yards of material in the shoreland district of the recreational development Clear Lake with additions.
All right, thanks, Beth.
I'd like to second that one, Dan.
All right, motion by Beth, second by Paul. Any further discussions on this one? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carry. All right, thanks, Greg.
Thank you,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Get it?
Barb Luck.
I didn't really mean to throw you under the bus there.
Yes, you did. You always do, but karma, baby.
Oh, boy. Is it karma or is it just plain revenge?
Karma's not a nicer word.
Really, you know.
I do a lot of meetings.
Mr. Chair, I neglected to get Barb's items on the PowerPoint, so we're on the canvas board is the first one.
Okay,
The first item I have is, as Andrew indicated, the canvas board appointments. And what that is, annually for election times, we do need 2 members of the commissioners, as well as the court administrator, myself, and the member of the largest city, which is Litchfield, to be assigned to that canvas board. I have already identified the two dates, which is the Friday and Tuesday for the primary and for the general. And keep in mind that you cannot ballot to be on the canvas board, so I left the appointment and the motion empty.
However, if the appointed one could not fill in on the primary, I could help out because I've done it before, but not on the November.
Correct. When you are on the ballot, so that would leave two of you not eligible.
Mr. Chair, I can do it, I've done it before, if you're looking for
Then
a
you'd like
volunteer.
them to show up, too.
Did you forget, Steve? Forgot one year too?
Was it just you, Steve, who forgot?
She wasn't gonna tell on you.
I'm just
You weren't gonna
covering
tell
my
on
own
him, were you,
tail.
Barb?
Representative Erdahl
Oh.
says, Steve doesn't point fingers.
I believe we had a lack of passion, totally. Not if you brought it up.
So Beth?
Yep.
And then,
I can do it.
it's gotta be you otherwise,
I'll
right?
text Jerry.
Pretty
Or
much.
Julie, I guess, actually.
Yeah.
Now that we know this is it for you.
Yep.
I wish I could be joining you, but we'll move on. So, which one of
That
you
has nothing
two
to be
would want to be on it then? Actually, I totally forgot.
Paul,
I can be an alternate on the primary should somebody.
Well,
not
let's leave, let's,
Yeah, well,
we
we
got
should just-
options.
Yeah,
to
you have
work
options
around.
other than me.
Okay, so, do you have two people?
Beth, for sure. And then either
I
one
should
of you-
probably get a second crack at it.
Okay.
I didn't
I'll
show
text,
up.
I'll send you a text if I remember, to text me, Barb.
If I remember.
No, neither one of us will be there.
That is
Okay.
downing evidence that that's gonna happen. All right. Do we need a motion on that one then?
Mr. Chair, I move to
Okay.
appoint Beth and Steve to the County Canvas Board.
All right. Motion made by Julie, looking for a second.
I will second that.
Second by Paul. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Canvas board appointments are made. Motion carries.
The next item I have is a designation of an authorization to the Minnesota Department of Education. It's an identity and access management system. So what is happening is the Minnesota Department of Education, where we provide numerous documents throughout the year, tax abatements, financing, year-end abatements, levy information, is doing a very, very secure system that they're moving toward. And with that system is each county needs to identify a manager, which I'm recommending it be the county auditor, and then I may in turn have a staff member. That resolution has to be done annually, and it's no different than what the schools have done for a lot of their school reporting with their students and et cetera, in a more secure manner. They're going across the board, and so this is introduction for the first time of their identity and access management official with authority, which they call in Iowa. And then annually, we will revisit that. Andrew and I discussed it, and we think it just should be with the annual resolutions in January going forward. And this will give myself authorization, once it's approved, to go to the system and then also bring qualified staff and management qualified staff to load these documents in a more secure atmosphere.
Mr. Chair, move to designate Barbara Locke, County Auditor, Meeker County's Education and Identity and Access Management Official with authority.
All right. Moved by Johnson, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Bredesen. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Motion carries. Last.
The next item that I brought is, several years ago, it was brought to our attention that it would be a good indicator to bring to the board the settlements, mainly the May settlement, October we could, or annually, just to show you the flavor of the funds that are coming in on the levy for the county. And so the county portion of the taxpayer dollars that were collected in May was 9.1, and that is 55.5% of the total for the county levy. And you will see that the trend stays right in that 55.9, almost 56 or 56% that come in collected in May. It's a good indicator when you also see that the levy amount was increased, and that gives you an idea of the atmosphere of the taxpayers. Any questions on that report?
Might be just kind of goofy question, but, you know, we always get first half, second half, and they're equal. So some must go
Quite
a
a few.
smidge over,
Yes, quite a few people pay their taxes at one time,
one full.
one full payment. That's pretty common, and some of them even prepay that entire amount earlier than the May collection time. But it gives you an idea for how the structure is. Also, on the bottom portion, it does give you an idea where the delinquent is. Notice, when we came earlier, we talked about the delinquency at the end of '23 or into '24 was less. And I showed also the percentage that have been collected.
Okay.
And there's no motion or anything, it's just for information.
Okay,
Thank you,
We're
Barb.
we're on target,
Thank you.
as always.
Yep.
right. Okay, with that said, we could, do we need a motion to recess?
Mr. Chair, we are actually a little bit ahead of schedule, and our attorney is not yet on the call, so my suggestion would be that we do the next item and then we come back.
Okay, so we should go to, would that be to you, Ann, then?
Yes, that would be to
Parking
me,
lot?
which is the approval of the parking lot. So as you recall, the county owns property at the intersection of First and Armstrong here in Litchfield, and we've been working over the past several years to get a parking lot built there. So we awarded a contract to Bolton and Menk back in September for design services and construction administration services. They've gone through the design process and have put together a parking lot that will provide us with 14 new spaces along with a handicapped space. And we went through a zoning approval process with the city of Litchfield. We received a conditional use permit and a variance for the site plan back in January. They completed the construction documents, released them to bid. We received 4 bids. The lowest was provided by J.R. Firsch Excavating out of Rice, and their bid was $165,560. This is more than what we had budgeted for this project, but we have sufficient funds in the capital project fund to make it work. So my recommendation will be that the board award a contract to J.R. Firsch.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a contract with J.R. Firsch, is that what it is?
Firsch?
Excavating of Rice, Minnesota for construction of a parking lot at 102 Armstrong Avenue North, Litchfield, in the amount of $165,560.
Okay, motion made by Beth, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Julie. Any further discussions on this one?
How long have we owned that piece of property?
4 years?
Uh,
3 years?
Close,
Been a
yeah.
while.
It was a tax forfeited lot.
It was a
Kinda
house
went-
on it.
The city had got it,
Okay.
had it a while, thinking about the construction over there.
It had a house on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
we-
took that down,
Took that down,
It's
had to
been,
clean it up.
yeah, it's got
but it was kinda good for
4
us,
years.
considering what we're doing now.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a little surprised at the length of time. Start on July 8th, completed on the 30th. You'd think once they got their equipment here, let's get it done.
Doesn't look like that big of a project, does it?
No.
No, it's not. And certainly we have had a bit of a broader circle in there in order to make sure that they could fit it in with their other work, and we would potentially get more competitive pricing than if we had a super tight schedule. So ultimately, end of September is when we need to have it done, because at that point, the annex will be done with its remodel, and we'll be prepared to move staff in after the November election.
Is there, I mean, we projected 100, we're at 165.
Yep. We have sufficient funds in the capital project fund to make it work.
Well, I'm not, I mean, we're a little lean on our projection or inflation. What do we get to chalk that
So,
up to?
so part of it was inflation. You know, that
Yeah.
number. I'm not going to point out Phil here, but Phil put it together.
We don't point fingers.
Perfect
in the
time.
county board.
It was a couple of years.
Anymore?
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago. And then additionally, we did add a little bit of scope to the project. One of the things, it doesn't make up for the $65,000, but one of the things that we added was a light, which we originally didn't have included in there. But I became concerned as we were going through this of not having sufficient lighting out there for when staff are going out at 5:30 at night in the wintertime. So wanted to make sure it's well
And I thought inflation was gone from everything.
Well, if you go 30% a couple of years ago, I mean,
Yeah.
130 right there. I mean, I just wanted to clarify that.
So was that estimated at 2 years ago? Is that what you're saying, the 100,000?
2, maybe even
Couple
3.
different times. There was an
Okay.
original one a long time ago and then maybe 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
So refresh me, does that have an in and an out? Does that have two accesses to the?
It has one
It's on
access
here. It's
off
in
of
here.
Armstrong.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there's not much we can do about whatever the price is. It's just
Is that-
we undershot it.
Fence too?
There is a fence that runs along the property border on
North
both sides of the north
Both
and
sides.
the
Did we-
east side.
Did we install the
We will be
fence?
installing the fence.
That is part, okay,
That is part of it, yes.
okay,
It's a screening fence. It was one of the
Yep.
requirements for the variance, so.
okay.
Screen fence?
Screening fence.
Really?
So that'll be north and east side?
Yes.
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Yep.
Do we have any kind of a contract or agreement with the funeral home?
No.
To utilize
This isn't.
additional
No.
parking or, okay.
Because this will be classified as public parking, correct?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we can designate this for county business only. We can even designate it for county employees only if we chose to. My intention is that this lot will be used by our employees, and then the other lot that we're building that's closer to the building will be used by clients and taxpayers who are coming in.
I'm sure when there's something going on up there at the little theaters, people use
will-
it in the evening.
Ultimately, when we met with the planning commission, the city's planning commission back in January, they were very concerned about the parking situation in this area altogether. And so I explained, well, that's why we're looking to build this lot, is we're looking to try and alleviate some of that, especially if we bring staff over there.
I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. I notice when I go up there for a meeting, you can pretty, within a block or so. But I think that's because so many employees are working remotely.
It's part of it.
Because I remember a few years ago when it was tight up there, and the city shared the one parking lot, and so. And don't ever park at the laundromat. Ooh, he doesn't like that.
Get in trouble there,
Yeah,
huh?
get in big trouble. So,
Get the cleaners in, huh?
yeah, you do.
All right, so we've had a motion and a second.
Yep.
Any other further discussions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Alright,
Motion carries.
Okay. Now we're ready to
We need a motion to
Yeah.
recess in.
recess to become the ditch authority and then go into closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move to recess county board and convene as county ditch authority.
Okay, motion made by Julie, looking for a second.
I'll second, Mr.
Second by
Chair.
Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are recessed and convened as the county ditch authority. We're now closed.
Now you need a motion
we
for
have to
closed
close it?
session.
Mr.
pursuant to
Chair, I
13
make a
D05.
motion to close the session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D05, subdivision 3B, attorney-client privilege.
All right.
Beth makes the motion, looking for a
Second.
second. Second by Paul. Any further discussion?
Just as a reminder, we'll only be talking about the discussion for which we are closing.
Thank you, Attorney